What's up, guys? All right, we are back on Seneca's Letters to Lucilius. We are on letter, what is it here? 64 on the Philosopher's Task. Okay, so we're going to jump into this. I've got a little bit of new setup here where I can actually look at this on screen with my teleprompter. So he says here in verse 1, yesterday you were with us. You might complain if I said yesterday merely. This is why I have added with us. So as far as I'm concerned, you're always with me. Certain friends had happened on whose account somewhat brighter fire was laid, not the kind that generally bursts from the kitchen chimneys of the rich and scares the watch, but the moderate blaze, which means the guests have come. Okay, so what he's saying here is he's saying, look, you were basically with us in spirit. And it wasn't just yesterday. I mean, you're always with me. I'm always thinking of you. But I had some friends over and we had some conversation. And he says here, our talk ran on various themes, as is natural at dinner. It pursued no chain of thought to the end, but jumped from one topic to another. We then had read to us a book by Quintus Sextus the Elder. He is a great man, if you have any confidence in my opinion, and a real Stoic, though he himself denies it. Okay, so they read a book by Sextus, Quintus Sextus, and Seneca is proclaiming that this guy's a Stoic, even though he doesn't say he's a Stoic. All right. He says here, ye gods, what strength and spirit one finds in him. This is not the case with all philosophers. There are some men of illustrious name whose writings are sapless. They lay down rules, they argue, and they quibble. They do not infuse spirit simply because they have no spirit. But when you come to read Sextus, you will say, he is alive, he is strong, he is free, he is more than a man. He fills me with a mighty confidence before I close his book. So something to be said about that, about philosophy and inspiring people, right? About actually having bringing your passion and your energy to what you do. And I think this is really important. This is something that I try to do as someone who is making videos on YouTube, really to motivate people. It's not just what I'm saying, it's about how I'm saying it, in the sense that, do you believe it? Like, is there a genuine spirit here that's going to lift people up? And this is something that I think just is important to think about in life, right? If you want to inspire people, if you want to have people really take what you're saying seriously, you've got to bring some energy, some passion to that, right? He says here, I shall acknowledge to you the state of mind I am in when I read his works. I want to challenge every hazard. I want to cry, why keep me waiting, fortune? Enter the list. Behold, I am ready for you. I assume the spirit of a man who seeks where he may make trial of himself, where he may show his worth. And then he quotes here, and fretting mid the unwarlike flocks he prays, some foam-flecked boar may cross his path, or else a tawny lion stalking the hills. Okay, so what he's saying here is he's saying when he reads this, he wants to go out and conquer things. He wants to fight, all right? And the passage he's saying is like, I'm just waiting for some boar to come along or some lion, and so I can kill it, right? And you kind of have to have that attitude in life. Like, I'm ready for the challenge. Sometimes we're just avoiding. We're like, I hope something doesn't happen, but I'm ready. Fortune, come on, come and get me. I'm ready. Whatever you got, I'm ready to take it on. I think that's a great way to look at life. He says there in verse 5, I want something to overcome, something on which I may test my endurance. For this, another remarkable quality that Sextus possesses. He will show you the grandeur of happy life, and yet will not make you despair of attaining it. You will understand that it is on high, but that it is accessible to him who has the will to seek it. And I think this is another important point here, is that it's good not just to tell people what you can do or inspire them, but also to give them the hope that they can do the same. And that's something that I've tried to do here with the content I've produced here and on Bulldog Mindset and my various channels. Is I don't want to just brag and show you what you should achieve, but I want you to feel like you can actually do it. Even though it's very, very high, you can take action. You can start doing this thing now. And hopefully I've done this with this channel in philosophy, even though these texts are somewhat hard to read. Hopefully I've broken this down enough that you feel like you can tackle this as well. All right, let's move on here. He says in verse 6, and virtue herself will have the same effect upon you of making you admire her and yet hope to attain her. In my own case, at any rate, the very contemplation of wisdom takes much of my time. I gaze upon her with bewilderment, just as I sometimes gaze upon the firmament itself, which I often behold as if I saw it for the first time. So again, he's saying here that the same effect should be that of virtue. You should want to attain virtue, even though it is such a high ideal. It should make you drive after this, which we can translate virtue for character, like building your character, building yourself as a man, as a person. Right? Let's move on here. Okay. In verse 7, he says, hence, I worship the discoveries of wisdom and their discoverers. To enter, as it were, into the inheritance of my predecessors is a delight. It was for me that they laid up this treasure. It was for me that they toiled. But we should play the part of a careful householder. We should increase what we have inherited. This inheritance shall pass from me to my descendants larger than before. Much still remains to do, and much will always remain. And he who shall be born 1,000 ages hence will not be barred from his opportunity of adding something further. Okay, so he's saying here, now he's talking about philosophy, right? He's talking about this idea, all of this wisdom and knowledge that's been passed on. And he's saying, of course I admire this stuff. Not only do I admire this stuff and the people that have helped and given me this knowledge and the toil that they've put in, but I'm going to build upon that and I'm going to pass it down. And even thousands of generations later, there'll still be more work to be done and still that can be contributed to this. So, and this goes for you, right? You might think, all right, philosophy, it's already been written, it's already been done. No, it's not true. You still have way more to contribute. This is not over. It's not done. Okay. But he goes on here and he says in verse 8, if I can find it here. Wow. Why can't I find verse 8? Okay. Okay, 8, that's why. But even the old masters have discovered everything. But even if the old masters have discovered everything, one thing will always be new: the application and scientific study and classification of the discoveries made by others. Assume that prescriptions have been handed down for us for the healing of the eyes. There is no need of my searching for others in addition, but for all that, these prescriptions must be adapted to the particular disease and to a particular stage of the disease. Use this prescription to relieve granulation of the eyelids, that to reduce the swelling of the lids, this to prevent stubborn pain or the rush of tears, that to sharpen the vision. Then compound these several prescriptions, watch for the right time of their application, and apply to the proper treatment in each case. Okay. So what he's saying is, look, even if all the wisdom that was there, it was already done. Like there's nothing more for you to contribute. I guess I switched the camera at the wrong time. But what he's saying is that, look, it's still, you still have work to do in applying it, right? So even if you have all this knowledge and this wisdom, the philosophy, it's up to you to apply it, right? So I can give you this information as we read Seneca and read the Stoics and learn these things, but it's not all discovered, okay? It's not. But if it were, then you would still need to apply this to your life. This is what the key is. So there would still be some work to do, all right, and to learn how to apply it better. The cures for the spirit have also been discovered by the ancients, but it is our task to learn the method and the time of treatment. Our predecessors have worked much improvement, but have not worked out the problem. They deserve respect, however, and should be worshipped with a divine ritual. Why should I not keep statues of great men to kindle my enthusiasm and celebrate their birthdays? Why should I not continually greet them with respect and honor? The reverence which I owe to my teachers, I owe in like measure to those teachers of the human race, the source from which the beginnings of such great blessings have flowed. So he's making the argument here to say, look, yeah, why shouldn't I, hold these guys in high respect that have given this knowledge, that have taken the time and have learned these things and have passed them on? Of course I should, and I do, right? And we should as well, right? He says there in verse 10, if I made a counselor a praetor, I shall pay him all the honor which his post of honor is wont to receive. I shall dismount, uncover, and yield the road. What then shall I admit into my soul with less than the highest marks of respect? Marcus Cato, the elder and the younger, Laelius the wise, Socrates and Plato, Zeno and Cleanthes. I worship them in very truth and always rise to do honor to such noble names. Farewell. So again, he's just saying here that these people who have come before us, we should honor them. We should honor their names. They have built this, created this wisdom, or found this wisdom that we can build upon. But we do need to build upon it, and we need to learn how to apply it in the right way. And that's really the point of this letter. A philosopher, you as a philosopher, do you have to necessarily create books on philosophy? No, not necessarily. There is still more to be discovered and more to be learned. And, everything is a model in the sense that that model can be refined, and it can be refined for the day as well. But it is really your job to take this wisdom and to apply it to your life, to become better and better at applying it. And the more that we can take this wisdom, because this wisdom by itself, it's only valuable insofar as it is applied. And so as we can become better at applying this and teaching people to apply this and adapting this to our lives, that's where we can really get the benefit of that. So that's it for today. We'll see you next time.